Give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's working? Yep. Okay. Nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Marcelo, as you can see, and I'm gonna be talking about Chronicles of an open source developer. So first, before I start, is this working? Yeah, it is. No, this thing. Yeah. So who am I first? It's going to be fast for this. So I am a Fast API expert. It's a title that was given to. I cannot do this. It needs to be in my hand. So Fast API expert is a title that was given to people that help contribute to Fast API. Well, mainly it's actually who helped on the GitHub issues. So since I helped a bit there, that was the title that Sebastian kind of gave to people. I also contributed to the project, like GitHub issues, discussions, the Discord server, and the Gitter server. But my main contributions are on projects that are below Fast API, mainly Starlet and Unicorn. So I am the maintainer of those two, one of the maintainers. Starlet is a web framework that gives web capabilities to Fast API. And Unicorn is a server implementation that runs applications like Fast API. Yeah, that's pretty much. And recently, I've joined Pedantic. And yeah, so just a question. Who knows about Pedantic here? Okay. No, yeah, but if I ask the opposite, no one will raise their hand, so I need to ask if you know. So I just looked to see who didn't. So thank you, unless you didn't raise because you didn't want to. So yeah, so I joined Pedantic, and yesterday, so for those who don't know, Pedantic is a data parsing slash validation slash coercion package that is very well known in the Python world. And they created a company, and yesterday they released Pedantic v2. So you can already use it. And if you use with Fast API, they also released a version that is compatible with Pedantic v2. So I recommend everybody to try it. And they also created a company, and we are building a product. And we are actually asking for feedback from the community, especially for people that work with data, to give us a feedback to see which product we should build first. So if you go to pedantic.dev/roadmap, you're going to see the blog post and a form where you can help us to decide what we're going to prioritize. That all said, yeah, I am in the middle of all of this. Can you see it right? Yeah, I guess. Can you see it, the one from the end? Okay, good. Good choice of size. Anyway, so I am in the middle of all this. So Fast API, Starlet, Unicorn, Pedantic, and the talk from today. So I thought about what I could talk about here. And I thought, yeah, you didn't even ask me what I was going to talk about. But anyway, so I thought, yeah, I could talk about ASCII server, web stuff. Good question. Web server, like ASCII, what is this kind of stuff. But I thought that I should, like as it is a keynote, I should talk about something that it would be useful. Well, I have 45 minutes, so I need to say something that it's going to be not boring, I hope so. And it also needs to be on a range of people that goes from a junior to a senior. So I've decided to talk about my experience on open source and how that influences in your life and how people can start contributing and also seeing that difference in their lives. So that's pretty much what I'm going to talk today. And let's see. This is really distracting. I can see the question. Anyway, so let's go. So how it started? It started in 2020 when I moved to France. So I graduated in 2019, yeah. And I was in Brazil. I'm Brazilian, for those who don't know. I do have a Polish surname, but all different story. I'm Brazilian. And I ended my university, I ended my bachelor, and I was deciding which country I should go. Because, well, I've lived almost all my life in Brazil, and I have an Italian passport, so I thought, I want to go to Europe, it's nice. So I applied to, Talent.io? Who knows Talent.io here? No one? Really? Okay, great. It's a great website. So they kind of expose your profile. So you create your profile, you expose there, and then you have your round, and you stay on the round for 2 weeks, and companies can go there and bid for you, and then they give you like bids, and you see the offers that the company would pay, and then you kind of start the interview process on some companies. And then I wanted to go to the Netherlands, but I didn't get there because there was no offer to go to the Netherlands. So all the offers that I received were in France, so I moved to France. And I moved to this job. It was a nice job. I just had started, so I was super excited. I moved to a new country. And yeah, and at the first month, so I arrived in March. The second month, in April, my boss came to me and asked me a question. So which web framework should we use for our next service? And well, you kind of know how it ended, but anyway, so he made me choose between Django and Flask. He came to me like, can you choose between Django and Flask for the next web service? And well, since I was starting and I was super excited, I've decided to look, I decided to do a good job on this small task, and I did a list of pros and cons about both web frameworks. But since I have been working on a service for the past month, so this is the second month in the company, I've noticed that we had a problem, and none of those frameworks were solving, which was data validation. And it is also when I found about FastAPI. And that's pretty much why I choose FastAPI. I made a list of pros and cons about the 3 web frameworks, and at the time it made sense. Basically, I mean, FastAPI has other features, but the feature that most attracted me was the data validation out of the box. And then I choose FastAPI, which kind of lead me to here, I guess. So that's nice. And yeah, so at the time, so I had this discussion with my boss and reasoning why we should choose FastAPI, and it was mainly because of that. The thing that we were in kind of an impasse or something is that the project was kind of new compared to the other 2. But at the end, argumentation won. And also, it was a new project, kind of. It was not big, which at the end kind of was not true because it became a huge stuff. It's kind of the main thing of the company, and it was built in FastAPI. And what I want to say about this is that I think sometimes we join a company, and sometimes in life actually I think, but more about open source or companies, we join and we all are always thinking about the next step. So I think what was nice here is that instead of thinking about much of the future, or like I joined France, I didn't want to be in France anyway, I wanted to go to Netherlands, that was always the plan. But then what I did was like be there for the first task, who does a pro and con list? Like I did that, and then, I mean, that was nice for me, but I think that just shows that I was there, I really liked the task, even if it's were relatively simple. Yeah, just that. And well, the year was 2020, right? So it was also the year of the quarantine. So I arrived in France, and in the first week, we got the lockdown. So it was not happy. And yeah, I spent the whole year on my home. And that gave me an opportunity, kind of, to start doing open source. So I usually wake up in the morning, and well, it didn't seem much stuff yet, but this was the first year, so this is kind of, if you see in the beginning, there are a lot of contributions. Those are the ones that I applied for some jobs, and they were public. And then by the mid to the end were something that I really did something. And those questions. Anyway, so the thing is, I wake up every day in the morning, I saw the GitHub issues, I watched the FastAPI repository, and every day I saw the questions that were on the GitHub issues, and then I didn't know anything, so every day I just look at the questions, read the questions, start learning what they actually were, like they were saying, and then try to answer those questions. So I have double learning, like try to understand the question and try to give the answer. What people don't know about this kind of time is that, and people usually don't say that, but it was the the quarantine time, so people, and including me, they were not very well, maybe mentally. Besides Corona, there were side effects of the virus. People were alone at home and stuff, and that also happened to me. So it was a lonely year. I stayed the whole year at home until at some point I went to Brazil, and then I stayed at home as well, but with my family. And then, yeah, I mean, not everything are flowers and stuff. It was a harsh year, but I dedicated a lot of time on open source. So I'm not saying this is not a recommendation, I'm just saying what happened. So I spent a lot of time doing open source and working on this first year. And what I just want to say is that take care of yourself. Even if I did that, I wouldn't do it again. So probably I wouldn't be here because I wouldn't spend that much time on those projects. Or maybe I would, but in a healthier way. Because I think it's also possible to contribute in a more healthier way than what I did. So yeah, yeah, I just think that it was a complicated time for everybody and not excluding me. Anyway, so I become an open Fast API expert. Basically, this is the number of issues that you reply on GitHub. It's just that that's it. Like, you go there, if you reply something on discussions or on GitHub issues, then you are included on this list on the Fast API webpage. And the thing is, I opened my first pull request on the first year, and the first pull request was kind of weird. It was just me super excited about creating the first pull request. It has so many images. I was very excited about it. And it was actually, I think, 2 lines or something. It was not very helpful, I think, but it were, I mean, it was my first experience open a pull request, so I was pretty excited. You can see, right? So yeah, anyway, that was my first one. And then I opened several pull requests after that, but something happened and got me really unhappy at the time, which is I got impatient about the time that I got to get my code reviewed. And I guess this is a common thing. So you go to an open source project, you open a pull request, and then the maintainer takes a long time to review. And well, instead of complaining to Sebastian, the creator of Fast API, what I did is to go to other projects and help a bit more. And then I started on Unicorn, which is the web server that runs applications like Fast API. And there I open a small pull request. This is 1-line pull request as well. But you can see I have already 2 emojis there. So this is a huge advancement for me. And this was just spinning a dependency. It was nothing huge. And those questions. Anyway, so this is what I did on Unicorn. And what this is, I mean, this was not important. This was just the first one, kind of. But the thing is, what I want to say is that I said this about Fast API, but I think what I also want to say is that be mindful. People have other stuff in life as well. The maintainers don't have only that thing in their life. So if it takes a bit more time to review your code, don't be stressful. Because I've seen many comments over the years about people complaining that the maintainers don't reply fast enough or taking a huge time. And that's not cool, because that's you have all that code available for free, kind of, most of the projects. And yeah, just be mindful that people have other stuff in life, not only about complaining on pull requests, but also be mindful overall when interacting online, because that can be kind of heavy, and people have their stuff in life, so just be mindful. And I want water. Hey, help me here, man. Thank you. Because otherwise, thank you. And then, sorry, what I did after this first request, I went to Benoit. Benoit was the maintainer of Unicorn. No one knows him probably because he's like hidden. He just appears to review code. Now he's also hidden. I don't know what happened, but he's a very nice person. I met him in Paris, and I created this issue. This issue was not how it looks right now. Now it kind of complete with all the checks and stuff. But at the beginning of 2021, it was an issue just to add type annotation to uvecorn. And it had a table with the name of the file, the pull request that was being opened, and that was pretty much what was it. And the idea, and what I talked to Benoit, was that I wanted to know if that would be something that he would like. So I talked to him first, and then he said, yeah, that's a great idea, let's create the issue and stuff. So I created the issue, and then I started working on this stuff. So this was the thing that I think it was the most important on open source that I did at the beginning, and yeah. And it took a long time. It took almost 2 years to complete this whole list, and mainly because of the reviews take some time. But it was nice. It was nice when we finished. Took just 2 years. And after uvecorn, so what happens is that if you become a maintainer of uvecorn, you also become a maintainer of other projects automatically because they are in the same organization. So Tom Christie, the one that you see on your right, is the creator. I call him the creator of everything when no one is around, but he's the creator of HTTPX, Django REST Framework, Starlet, uvecorn, and MK Docs. So he created a lot of stuff, and most of those projects are on the same organization, which is called Encode. And so I was invited to Encode to be a maintainer of uvecorn. And so it was at this period, around June 2021, that Jamie, JH5, he disappeared. So he was there at some point, he reviewing everything. It was mainly him, and then he disappeared. So I don't know exactly what happened to him, but I didn't have contact with him. But he kind of left or something, and that was kind of an opportunity to step in, because I was starting to see a lot of pull requests being created and no one was reviewing. So what I did was just start reviewing them. And now I am the one that committed most in Starlet, mainly because there was this opportunity and I stepped in. But Dependable is also doing a great work. And the thing is, so this thing is, what I want to say is that try to be proactive on some level of proactiveness. Like, what I did there was just, I talked to the maintainer. So I gave him a story that I thought that would make sense. And then he replied. He was very nice. All the interaction with him was very nice. Actually, the interactions usually with the maintainers when you show interest is very nice. And then, well, I got this plan. He said it's okay. And then I started helping. And then he was very happy. I was very happy. And everybody was working on this project. So just sometimes you can reach those people. And you can start working on open source just because you're rich. And you can work on something that you'd like I did. And at some point, I was starting to see a bit of the results of this open source stuff. Because until that time, 2021, it was just me seated on my computer in France and without leaving house and without knowing anyone. And then in September of 2021, I met, I met a lot of people online, but this was the first time that I met some open source maintainer. So I met him in Sebastian, the creator of Fast API, in Berlin. He lives there. And we just got a coffee. He paid. Anyway, so it was a great experience. It was very nice to talk to him in person. Nowadays, I think I consider we're friends and stuff. So it's been a lot of interactions over those 2 years, almost 2 years. So that's pretty nice. And also, besides of Sebastian, there were a lot of people that usually don't come out you don't know about them, but they're super smart and they are maintaining some packages around that you have the chance to talk with when you are doing open source. So he was one of those people, but there were people like Thomas Granger. Who knows Thomas Granger? No one? Aha! Yeah, so Thomas is probably, I think, the person who knows more about async I/O. And he's not very well known, as you can see, but he's super smart, and sometimes it's even difficult to talk to him because he's so smart that he says some stuff that actually 99% of the time he says something and I don't understand a single word. So it's kind of a challenge also to try to talk to him and then try to sugar thinking the sentence and try to have a conversation with him to kind of help me understand what he's saying. But he's very, very smart. There's also Tom Christie, the creator of HPX and those all stuff. Yeah, and there are some other people that I've met that it's really nice that I got the chance to because of open source. So yeah, so what I want to say is that talk to people. Even in conferences, it's nice to meet people and talk to them. Actually, in conferences, it's great. It's a good excuse to come to people and talk to them. But also on the online level, open source level, most of people are pretty reachable because, well, their emails are usually available everywhere. So you can simply send a message and have some discussions or something, if you have something to talk with them. But I mean, just saying that they are pretty reachable. And yeah, they're usually nice, so you can reach them. You can reach me. But yeah, yeah, another thing, hold on. My mom and sister are watching me on my home, so I'm just gonna say hi. Hola, Andrea. Hola, mama. Sorry for that. Anyway, as I was saying, another thing that got very nice because of open source stuff were the job interviews. So things kind of started to change after I started contributing more and more. And like on the interview process, there was once, I'm not gonna say the name of the company, it was not Pedantic, but there was one interview that we got, the one that I told you, we got an interview and we had like 5 minutes of questions, like 1-2 questions, and then the people were kind of overestimating my knowledge, and we didn't have more of what to talk. They were like, you know a lot, so we're not gonna talk more, like, we don't have more things to ask you, which was a bit bad, I guess, for me, for them, like, but this kind of situation, like interview process get a bit different because you kind of skip some of the first steps of the interview, like the ones that cut you, like the coding challenge and stuff from the beginning. So that's also nice, I guess. It also says a lot about the company, if I think about it. But anyway, it's nice for you. And there is this thing, the thing of you start being, well, this is not only nice on open source, but on every aspect of your life, I guess. It's very nice when people show admiration for your work. Not only work, but other stuff in life, like when your siblings show admiration for your life or something, or I don't know, your mom. So it's also nice with open source. People start thanking you for doing the contributions and stuff. So this is actually the rewarding part, besides the meeting people and the job stuff. That said, I don't remember the next part. It's going to be a surprise. So, it was time for a change, yes. So I was, so as I said, I was 2 years in France, and I think, as I said, I was at home, did a lot of open source work as well, and then I decided to not stay at home more than I was staying. So I've decided in 2022 to move to the Netherlands, so to this beautiful place. I live now in Utrecht. I always wanted to move to the Netherlands, so I was pretty happy. So this year I changed a bit my life. I went to Brazil and I had a change of, wait, hold on. Yeah, thank you. I had a change of kind of lifestyle and stuff. So I started leaving my house more frequently. I started going to the gym. I started meeting people. And I started going to the office. I really like going to the office, so it was pretty nice. Now we don't have an office, but it's okay. And I mean, I really liked it, the new life that I was having. It was more healthy for sure. And I continued to do open source in a healthier measure. So yeah, pretty much that's what happened. I did more than just open source and work. And I continue to do open source and work, I guess, but I do a bit more, and it's because I changed stuff. And also, what I want to say is that In the last year, in 2022, I got a discount for a conference. It was Patrick Arminio. Who knows Patrick? Someone knows Patrick? Strawberry, the library? No one? Aha. Okay, thank you. Are you paying attention? No, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so Patrick gave me a discount to go to PyCon Italy, and then that was in Florence, and then there's my first conference. So on the first conference, I've decided that, well, I actually noticed that a lot of people were speaking there, and some people, well, didn't have much knowledge, and they were still speaking. So I thought, well, I don't think I have much knowledge as well, but I'm gonna speak. So, why are you laughing? Anyway, so I noticed that, and then what I did was, like, as soon as I left PyCon Italy, I start. Hold on. Maybe I deleted a slide. Anyway, so as soon as I left the PyCon Italy, I started applying, submitting talks, and I got my first talk in September. It was a great talk. It was in Porto. Well, not a great talk. It was a great place. The talk, I don't know. But it was a great place, very sunny. It was in the summer? September? Yeah, summer. It was nice. And I was pretty happy that I could get my first presentation. And yeah, what I want to say about this is that don't be afraid. It's okay. You are judging yourself more than others are judging you, you know? And people usually, if you do a bad presentation, I guess people will forget easily, but if you do a good one, people will remember forever. So just don't be hard on yourself and try it out. And the first step is always submitting. You're not going to talk right away. So there are several steps that you need to face before actually talking, and you can convince yourself that's going to be a good idea. Then some more conferences, and then I got invited to join Pedantic, which I'm pretty happy. I think that was very nice when they released the announcement of the company, and I got pretty happy when they announced that I was going to be hired. So that's also one thing. And I also got the first keynote. I'm here. So a lot of stuff happened just because of open source, and that's pretty nice. So some questions that you might have about this open source thing that I didn't answer. For example, how can I start with open source? I said some stuff kind of subjective, not very, very precise about how to start with open source or how to do that. And the thing is, well, there are several paths, right? My path was going through GitHub issues, answering, and then at some point start contributing, because I was able to have a bigger view of what was happening in the project. Since I read everything, that's like a lot of reading. So I could infer and understand more about the project and see what was needed for the project. This is one strategy. Maybe it doesn't work for everybody, and also you need to dedicate a lot of time. So this is one option. You can go through a project. I got also lucky, kind of. The project got a lot of popularity, right? So not every project gets this popularity in a short amount of time. That's also cool, but sometimes you bet wrong, kind of. But the idea here is that you try to help somehow. I did with GitHub issues, and one thing that I can do to help is that I've created recently a list of potential GitHub GitHub issues that people can implement, can start on open source. So if you go to my GitHub profile, I have a list at the bottom of my profile. That's a list of GitHub issues that people can easily go see the issues and start implementing some stuff. And I also have other projects. If you're interested in starting an open source, I can also help. Yeah, so kind of answer this, but how can I contribute with open source without sacrificing my life? So people have other priorities in life. It's not maybe this is not that interesting to start. Maybe you already have, or your life you already work, and you already have your family and you don't have more time, or you say you don't have more time and you don't want to spend a lot of time on open source. Well, I don't think that's necessary. As I said, right now I'm not doing it 24 hours. I'm just doing it a bit in the morning and a bit of the work, and then that's it. It's just a bit every day. For me, it works very well to be a routine. Maybe not for you. Maybe it works only on Saturdays, spend like the morning on Saturdays or the afternoon, or Sundays, I don't know. But I guess the answer for this is try to create a routine, even if it's not, well, try to create a routine. And otherwise, kind of a bit difficult to continue on something, right? But this, I think it's an advice for everything in life if you want to be relevant on it. Do I need to be a genius to contribute to open source? No. That's it. I think I don't feel like most of the people that do open source are smarter than other people. I think they just dedicate a lot of time on something and then they are just there. That's my line of thought. I mean, obviously, Thomas Granger is a genius, but the one that I mentioned, the async guy, he's super smart. And you can find those people as well over there, but most of the time it's just people being constantly programming, and they are very aware of well, what they do. So just like everything in life. Yeah, so I've heard this thing sometimes before. I don't want to work for free. But then I think on the intellectual side, like you have a lot of intellectual challenges when you are doing open source as well, which is kind of rewarding, since I guess if you do programming, it is rewarding when you see some challenge and you try to solve it and you are able to do it. So it's not about only the money, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's what I have to say. It has other kinds of rewards that not money-wise. Well, there are some donations, but don't think that those donations make a lot of difference. Most of the donations that you see people receiving hundreds or something, they are $5. And well, if you receive 100 and it's $5, it's 500, right? But 500 a month, you cannot live. Well, in a lot of countries, I'd say. Not only in Europe, I guess. Yeah. So anyway. I don't have time to contribute to open source. I think I just put it here because it's about priorities and it's fine. People have other stuff in life, but I put it here because the sentence, I don't have time, it kind of implies that you just don't have the priority to do that, and it's completely fine. I just put it here that for you to be aware that just that's not your priority, and again, it's completely fine. But also, it kind of offends a bit when you are having a conversation and you say that you are doing something in your life and people say, I don't have time for that. It looks like people are saying that what you're doing is not that important. But anyway. Yeah, and the last topic that I said is about public speaking and stuff. So I don't feel comfortable talking in public. I'm a bit shy. How I overcome this? Yeah, that's... I don't know. That's I think like everything is about practice. So if you expose yourself a bit and you practice, then at some point you're gonna become good at something. And that's it, I guess. And thank you. I'm Clodax on GitHub and Marcelo Trillier on Twitter.
Okay, so now we'll move to the QA part. We have plenty of questions. We'll start from the most voted. So, is having a mustache a hard requirement for fast API maintainers?
I don't have a mustache. I mean, no. I mean, there is only one maintainer, so yes.
Okay. Next one. How do you make money when you are working on open source projects?
I don't know. I mean, like, there are some different... Arthur is here? Ah, thank you. Yeah, there is going to be something at EuroPython about discussing ways to how to get money with open source or something like that. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And yeah, but anyway, if you want to know, go to your Python. Nah, it's kidding. Yeah, so I don't make money with open source that much. I receive $360 for a month. I think, and one donation is the relevant. It's 300 from Encode, the organization that Tom created. So I don't think I'm the best person to answer that. But usually you just get more salary, I guess. And that's where the money comes from. I don't know. Oh, actually, there is actually something interesting. Sebastian is doing an experimental thing with Sequoia, an investment company in the US. So they are kind of sponsoring him for the whole year, and he just needs to do open source. So that's a way, I guess. It's pretty nice.
Okay, next question. When do you know you are expert in some field? Because on the beginning you mentioned you are Fast API expert.
Yeah, I have the domain, so you need to buy the domain. No, just kidding. He gave me the title, and it looks very good, so I just use it. But yeah, that's a good question. Go to the next one, please.
Okay. Do interviewers still ask for 5+ year experience with Fast API?
Good one. Actually, they ask for a lot. Like this was not a one-time thing. This happened a lot of times, but no. Wait. It has 5. No, it has 4 years. Don't worry. Yeah, if they do that, it's a mistake.
Okay, next question. When Starlet, UVcorn, and Fast API will be rewritten in Rust like Pedantic?
Never. So for Rust, sorry, for Starlet and Fast API, that wouldn't make sense. For UVcorn, it makes sense, mainly because of the HTTP parser. We do have an experimental HTTP parser that was implemented in Rust. Maybe I should make that more public. Yeah, but yeah, so we have some stuff written in Rust already, which is the HTTP parser. Maybe we're going to include it to UVcorn itself. It's just that you can actually create the HTTP implementations that you want. So we are using that parser on a different project, and you can already use it. So I think we're going to make it more visible that we have this Rust implementation. I don't know how well it performs actually. I don't know. I have to try it. There are actually some projects. There is alternatives to UVcorn. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that. Yeah, but there is. I met the maintainer of a web server in Italy. It's called Granian. Yeah, I think it's Granian. And there is also a Brazilian guy that's creating another one. What's the name? I don't remember. I think his name is Cicero. I don't know. Does anyone know the name of the other web server? No? Okay, anyway. If you Google, there's another one that runs in Rust as well. I don't know the difference on performance. And you thought it was a fast question, huh?
That's a very good question. Our companies should contribute to open source by their employees' contribution or by money. Do you have any idea how to encourage IT sector to make it happen?
No. But I think we can talk about this more in person after this. I have some ideas, but I need to organize my thoughts to answer that properly. Let's just talk later, please.
Okay, next question. Is working on a Pedantic means mostly Rust programming now that it has been rewritten, or is there still space for Python programmers to contribute?
There is still space. There is still space for Python programmers. I don't program in Rust yet, and I'm working there, so you can do it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Next one. How to find balance between live work and open source?
For me, what worked is kind of having a routine. So I do the same thing every day. Besides when I'm traveling, it's basically the same thing. I wake up, I have my breakfast, 3 eggs with yogurt, my cereal, coffee. Then I wake a bit to do the digestion, work on open source, an hour more or less, go to the gym, then I come back, take a shower, obviously. Then I go to my coffee place. I work at home now, so I don't like to work at home. And then I finish the coffee place closes, and I go home and I do a bit of open source. And then I just do whatever, I don't know, go out or continue to do open source or just watch a movie. Well, movie, it's been a while, but I watch some series sometimes. But that's how I do it. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Okay, next one. Do you still think Fast API is better than Django and Flask?
I cannot answer that publicly. No, it's kidding. What I said is that I don't think I said that Fast API is better than Django and Flask on here. I said that there was a problem that Fast API solved and the others two were not solving natively. So Fast API was solving the problem with data validation without needing any batteries on it. And it still solves that. I don't know if Django has something already, but Flask, I'm sure that they don't have natively. I guess I tried to implement once because we are using Flask on one of the companies that I was, and I wanted to implement. So I actually showed in the company how we would migrate to Fast API incrementally, and they saw it how easy it was, but they didn't like. I don't know. And then what I tried to do was try to add Pedantic to Flask, and then at some point I realized that I was building Fast API again, so I just didn't continue with that idea. Then, no, different things.
Okay, next one. Do you have ideas on how to convince our companies to allow us to contribute to open source or to make our companies invest into open source? It's a similar question to the previous one.
Yeah, but they gave me more time to think about it. Yeah, just kidding. I will answer at the end this one. I still need more time.
Okay. Any tips on approach to learning the library efficiently before being able to contribute to it?
I usually read the documentation. I mean, I'm kind of kidding, but that's what I did with Fast API. Any IO also, there is a good documentation. Salary might be a bit difficult to read. I don't know. I think the first step would be just to read the documentation. I don't think there is. I don't think even if you need to complete to read that. It depends. I think you need to read the documentation. That usually helps, and then you can already start on something. Usually there are, well, not all projects, but you have good first issues. I've been trying to add them on the projects that I maintain. It's a bit difficult on Unicorn because the project is just more difficult than all the others. But Starlet has some. I think Unicorn also has some that I've added. So the approach would be check for the good first issues or ask the maintainer to create them. Usually they don't have, sometimes they don't have bandwidth to do that, but other projects they have. So maybe try to look for the projects that are more friendly for beginners. This also helps.
Okay, next one. Maybe contributing to documentation could be a good starting point for people who worry about coding knowledge.
Yes, that helps. Actually, I think that might be a bit more difficult than code contributions, because usually to explain that you know something, it's more difficult than to do something, I think. Sorry. I mean, I think it's just a natural process. So you start helping somehow, not out of nothing. Like you start, you read the documentation, you work at something, you find a problem, you don't find a solution, or you find a bug. And you see that the bug is documented on a GitHub issue, and it's there for 2 years. And instead of saying, same here, you could try to debug it and see how you could solve it. And you can start there. So the usual process is that you have a use case, something bad happened when you were using that framework, and then you start helping on it, I guess.
Okay. Okay, next question. What does number of commits say about you?
That I fix a lot of typos. Not much in that. I don't know.
Next one. When you started working on Fast API, how you found Fast API when it was still not popular?
Yeah, like I said, I was comparing the frameworks, and then at some point, I got it in. I think maybe it was a blog post, middle of nowhere. Like it was very not well known, obviously. So it was just because I did a good research on those other two web frameworks, and then at some point, Fast API appeared on one of those research, and then that's how I got to know it.
Okay, next question. Do you use some personal knowledge management methods, note-taking philosophy tools, Obsidian, Notion, OneNote, or something?
I used Notion for some time, but no. I'm actually not as the question wants to ask, I think. No, the answer would be no. Sorry.
Okay, it's not a question, it's a comment. I just got the idea to create faster API framework by using Flask and Pedantic.
Nice. You are welcome.
And the next one is no, fastest API is the best. I'm registering the domain now. Okay,
is it available though?
Let's get back to questions. Where do you find motivation to work on open source projects?
You know, when you go to school and then you have to go to school the next day. So I'm just using it. Nah, it's kidding. I don't know. I mean, it's just fun. Well, I am kind of used it by now, but I just like to read the stuff, and there are some challenges, and it's fun to solve those puzzles. It's just like that. Yeah, just fun. I don't know. It's a hobby. People have hobbies and stuff.
Okay, the next one is regarding your diet. Do you ever worry that eating 3 eggs a day may be bad for your cholesterol, or do you think that your gym routine is sufficient to make up for them?
That's the best question. So, if you don't go to the doctor, you don't have any problems. I'll find out sometime. Anyway.
Okay. What is your favorite Italian movie?
Why the question?
No idea. Okay, and we have the last one. Do you have any hobbies that you practice, like sailing, skiing, car racing, building skyrocket or something?
Is like, it needs to be one of those, or the something is open to everything? Well, I've started this year to do none of the options. I've started learning salsa and bachata, and learning a bit of photography. Favorite bar in Utrecht. Yeah, I'm gonna start sailing. I think it's nice, but nothing on the list.
Okay, there's a question, your favorite bar in Utrecht, Canal District.
That's another good question. I think, I don't know the names of the bars. I just know the
so many of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we'll still have. What is it? It's a comment. Just wanted to use this emoji because of your nationality.
Thank you. I feel represented.
Okay, it seems those are all questions and comments, sometimes strange. So thank you for your talk. Thank you for coming.